Hey there fellow learners, this video includes some tips I hope to use in my quest for a first class LLB. So with less than 45 days remaining for the beginning of my assessment, the 5 things I want to keep using to reach my goal are 1. Getting plenty of feedback on my answers, 2. Reading textbooks for essay-based subjects, 3. Using specific resources on the VLE, 4. Following marking criteria by the examiners, and lastly, number 5. Using the further reading found in the subject guides. Feel free to jump ahead to any of the tips using the timestamps in the description or in the comments pinned below. So, let's get started. The only way to determine your prowess in the examination is by getting feedback. Yet without detailed feedback, you can fall short of improving your answer. This is why you need to talk to your teachers, or better yet, your friends. Find a way that works best in receiving feedback on your answers. A simple way to collaborate in times of social distancing is by using Google Docs. By going to Google Docs through your web browser, opening a new document, typing out an answer, then simply share the document with your friends by copying the link address as so and pasting it in an email addressed to your friends or your teachers. Google Docs is much easier, and I find the best way to collaborate with multiple people because then the reviewers can leave comments in the same document, and so it's easier for you to access without having to go through multiple documents. As you ought to have figured out, you need to read, but you've got to do it right. And that's why I'll touch on reading for essay answers. Previously, when reading textbooks for public law, for example, when I saw a rule or a case decision, I simply noted them down, when I should have been looking at the context of the discussion. Mind you, this only applies to certain subjects like public law, administrative law, and public international law, to name a few. So my tip to combat this is every page or every paragraph, if you like, stop to think, what is this guy talking about? Or what is the author referring to here? What issues is he trying to solve? Thinking about those sort of details will allow you to make more relevant notes that you can use in your essays. So to summarize, you should make notes about how the discussion affects your answer rather than looking for rules or instances that you can cite. Dean Simon Askey's videos, which can be found on the VLE, show how you can arrange your notes to be readily accessed. This can be really useful if you have a need for them while you're being assessed, that is, during the examination. So the upside of arranging them in this manner will allow you to mentally separate the different blocks that go into your answer. For problem questions, I've started making toggle notes in Notion so that if a certain issue comes up, I have notes on what to write in that instance. If you're interested in using this process, take a look at Ali Abdal's video, which should be right around there, and hopefully you can make notes in a way that's useful to you. The stepped marking chart, link in the description, was shown to me by my good friend, and I don't think too many people have seen it. Last year, I believed it showed me where I was going wrong in my answer. To be specific, in commercial law, I spent 1. Too much time describing the case facts where they weren't relevant to the question. 2. Veered off into describing the problem question, where I was telling the examiner what occurred in the question instead of describing what the law is. It might seem like a rookie mistake now, but it was quite a hard problem to overcome. I advise you to read this marking chart and then decide what you need to add. But ones that stood out for me were A. Studying outside the prescribed range, where for example, using rationales in contract law for answers in trust law. B. Elaborating on subtle and complex aspects of the question. As it happens, when two rules of law mix, such as in tort law, when the two concepts of being a trespasser and a child occur at the same time, in which instance you are supposed to comment on both. In subject guides, the authors make sure to leave articles that offer in-depth analysis of the law. I myself have only read 3 articles across all my subjects, but I think reading these are a good idea to differentiate yourself, especially since during this assessment everyone will be able to access their notes. So if you do understand what the writers are talking about, do use them in your answer. It's important not to underestimate these articles either. It takes some reading and analyzing to use them in your answer. So what I hope to do is blazing through the first few pages and understand what issue the author is trying to solve in his discussion. Utilizing this helicopter view, I call it, I hope that interesting views and issues will fall into my lap. And those are the 5 main processes I hope you keep using the rest of the way to the assessment, hopefully resulting in a first class. I'll be needing an average of over 70 to make that possible. So if you guys do have any tips, do leave it in the comments. Thank you if you watched this long. Cheers and good luck studying.